Hi, I'm Paula Storm. Thanks for joining me today on my YouTube channel. We're back with Heather Hopkins. Thank you so much for joining us, Heather.
Worries,
we're at another show. We're at AQC and we're skipping lunch yet again. So thanks for taking the time out to show us how to quilt our slow and steady quilt. Okay, so let's get going on our flying geese block. Now this is the one that really shocked me when it came back. When I opened the box, because of course Heather sent the quilt back from Adelaide to New South Wales, and when I opened it up, this was the block that was staring at me. And I saw these big curves that I would never have thought to do. So this is the one that really jumped out at me.
Yeah.
So tell us, how did you do this one?
Okay, this one was a lot of fun. So on the original quilt, this is all a dark grey colour. So on your sample here, we've got two different colours, but we're just going to look at this as one whole background colour. So the first thing I did was I went along and ditch quilted the little flying geese here. Now, because I did it on my long arm, I've gone across the quilt and then come back. So if you
can you show us the path you followed?
I was using my ruler. If you are using your long arm, I was going up and down like this, all on one side, going this way, ditch quilting, ditch quilting, ditch quilting, and then when I came back, I was obviously on the other side. Okay, so that's completed.
Isn't that fantastic? See, I wouldn't think of that. I would have come from here, going all the way around, and then thought, where am I going to go from here? So by just going down to the point, you can get all the way across and then all the way back to the start.
And you didn't break a thread.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah, much quicker.
Okay. Right. So after I ditch quilted this one, I had these lovely big open spaces. So they were on the bottom of the row and they were also on the top of the row.
Okay.
And I really wanted to do something cool in those because it was a big open space.
Yes.
So I went through and I auditioned my rulers to find out what I could get in there. And being the way it was curving, I felt that it needed some more curves in there to be interesting.
Yes.
So using the ring set ruler, so this is one of the Handy Quilter rulers.
Yep.
This is how I got my rings in here. So
So would you have marked your ruler so you know where to line it up on the bottom, or did you just wing it?
I would recommend that you mark stuff. So I do actually have some markings on my ruler. So I do have a centre marking which I would place in the middle of my quilt here.
Where the blocks join?
Yes. And then I would have used I didn't actually use this particular one. I used the one that I have at home.
Okay.
Which is the old full circle set, but the newer ones are the ring sets. So I would have the same mark on each one as I did it.
So you know it's in exactly the same place all the way along?
All the same size.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go for it.
Yeah, let's do it. So I'm just going to come around the outside of my ring here.
And is that how you generally hold your rulers, like that?
I do.
Yep.
Yes. If I'm working on my long arm, obviously I'm holding them different because I'm moving the machine as well.
Sure.
But I do like to have both my hands on the rulers when I'm quilting with them.
So you get more control.
Do a big jump stitch here. Come on.
Don't do this at home. Pretend you didn't see that.
Stitch my ruler down there.
Yeah.
Cut that off. So I'm just going to come back up around here.
Yep.
Now this one is a little wider because it's a different circle to the one that I used at home. So it's a little bit wider channel, but that's okay.
Okay, so if they don't have the rulers at home, how would you recommend they get that curve?
You could trace around a dinner plate, something like that. If you're into this circle look, just something that fits within. We'll chop the ruler off. Something that fits in this, so like a dinner plate or something like that. Yeah.
Yep.
So this is quite a lot wider than the original one.
It is. The other one's maybe about.
I think it's about maybe an inch. Yeah. This one's just a little bit bigger. Another thing too that you could use if you do have the ring set from Handy Quilter is your Echo foot. Okay. So you could use this ruler and then put your 1/2 inch Echo foot on and go around again to get that channel
and just follow along with what you've already done. Fantastic idea. Okay, so what did you do next? This is the fun one. Now this one combines a lot of different designs.
All right, so I had left the channel free because that's the bit that was puffing up. This had been all dish quilted, so these are puffing up. I wanted everything quilted down.
Yes.
Okay.
So you wanted those two things to be the feature, your ring and your fabric.
Yes. Okay. So first of all, I filled in these guys because this was the fun bit.
Yep.
So I'm just going to grab my bobbin thread. This one was full of, we had bubbles, there were some swirls, there were some little feathery things. So it was really just a mush up of all different designs in this one. Which is my thing, I like to mush them all together.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. And you kept them, I noticed you kept them all a very similar size.
Yes, yeah. And also, once again, this is on the charcoal, so I was using the charcoal thread with it.
Okay, so this wasn't a variegated thread.
No.
This was on, as Heather mentioned, this is my sample that I did at the very start when I was creating the quilt. So I actually used different fabrics. So on the finished quilt, obviously we used all grey on the background.
Yes.
So that's why it was matched in.
Yeah. So for the ladies that haven't started quilting yet, I have a bazillion other ideas for this block.
Okay,
so,
go for it.
When I do come up to quilt my quilt, the green one, I will do it differently. The whole thing's going to be different. So I will post along with what I'm doing with that one.
That would be fantastic.
But I do, because this is such big open spaces, it's so many things you could do with this particular block. Earlier in the quilt, we looked at the one with the little strippies.
Yeah,
and I had done the
dot to dot,
point to point quilting.
Yep.
If you had done a motif in those, you had talked about a motif. If you'd done a motif in those, you could have had that half motif in this one, and it would be tying it together.
So you can relate the two together. That's a fantastic idea. Another thing I wanted to mention too, I know that some of you are a bit nervous about the quilting stage. We haven't had a lot of pictures yet on the Facebook group of what you're doing with your quilting. So why not just grab a square of fabric, draw the design onto your fabric, and just practice. So practice on blank fabric, so there's no pressure until you find out if you like doing these designs or not.
Yeah, and another thing too while you are practicing is to have a similar colour thread to the fabric that you're practicing on.
Yes.
If you're using a contrasting thread, to think maybe I'll use contrasting so I can see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Generally ladies aren't happy with the look of that. So pick a thread. If this was a grey, I would pick a grey thread to stitch on this one, just so that it gives a nice even look.
Really make it blend in. Yeah. It's we've got some people watching us outside. As I said, we're here at AQC, so we've got some watchers out the side. Okay, so what else did you do on this block?
Okay, so once I'd gone and filled all these ones in, I went back and filled in here, and I didn't want it to be the same.
Yes.
Or was it the same?
No, it wasn't. It was swirls.
Okay, swirls. So once again, tying the swirls from the first block into this block. So you'll see them, they'll pop up throughout the quilt.
Yeah.
All right, so swirls. Once again, we're just building these guys to fit in the area that we have here.
So these ones are a little bit bigger than the ones we did last week on the Wings of Eagles block. So just varying the scale to fit the block, really.
Alright, now this one here, because I've got that funny little shape, we're just going to echo, give a little point and echo back. Okay?
Yeah.
So that just filled that in.
Fantastic.
Without putting a squishy little one in
Yes,
there.
it would have looked silly.
How are your swirls coming along, Paula?
Don't ask. No, I must say my swirls are definitely improving after we did that very first video. So I really recommend watching that first video again. Get some notepaper and a pencil and really draw. I found the more I drew, the better my swirls got.
How's that?
Okay, that looks fantastic. All right, so we might leave it there for this week. And again, check the website, the blog, for this week's PDF, where I'll have the actual scale of these designs. Thanks, Heather.
No worries, Paula.